producing. So I'm still presenting and I'm able to record on OBS. So that might be a workaround, at least for temporary.
Okay. Yeah, because my OBS works.
Okay. Yeah, when I first earlier on here, it was giving me an error. It wouldn't let me join video in Google Meet.
Yeah. Yeah, mine's working.
My video has been choppy, and now for whatever reason, the camera is on, but the camera says, or the Meet says that the camera is not on. So it's like, which was on first? Huh?
This is probably a good exercise.
Agreed.
So I don't know if you saw me earlier.
You're back
email.
in the office?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Matt.
You're back at the office?
I'm back in the office, yep. This daylight. This whole turning the clock back thing was a pretty good idea. I turned it back like 5 hours. Wasn't even that daylight out during the day here. Did you guys see my earlier email too about Jubilee? Looks like she blocked us. Or she
Who did?
Blocked
Jubilee.
us?
She unsubscribed from our email. Yeah.
You said Jubilee?
Jubilee. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I don't know if we take that as cancel her subscription or just let it ride.
Let it roll till she cancels it. Just because she's done with the emails doesn't mean that she's done with the subscription.
I don't think she knows what she wants or needs from a digital business perspective. So I'd let her manage that. So what are we doing?
Are we in a place where we've technically got everything squared away as to what we're going to do tonight? As in, like, is everybody doing any kind of recording that they're wanting to do? I'm not, because I don't want to screw up any more than my side's already screwing up. So.
Yes, right now I got OBS recording, so we should get something out of it.
Cool.
Well, I think you're right, Jim. I think, for no other reason than to just go ahead and run into some technical difficulties. Yep. It was a good idea to jump on here and do this.
Yeah, let's see what the recording yields.
Yeah. So like we talked about earlier today in our meeting this morning, we kind of wanted to go over this make.com thing that I had presented. Maybe, I don't know if a little bit more depth or at least with a little more clarity than this morning. Since then, I have been playing around a little bit more with it. And, there's a couple of things that anybody that's wanting to dive into AI automation and use make.com, there's a couple of things that you want to have prior to going into it so that you can make it as, kind of as smooth a transition into this technology as you can. And first and foremost, I would tell anybody, know what you want to do first. Like, what is it that what problem are you trying to solve? And then once you've kind of got an idea of what that is, and maybe you're even at a point where, you don't even know what the capability is. So I don't even know how to answer that question. Well, that's one of the reasons why, we're recording this right now and we're going to put it out and kind of show some people some of the ins and outs of it. But I know that, at least for me, one of the things that I was searching for was help with social media management and content creation. And when I found make.com, I found that there's a possibility that it's going to be a really good tool in the arsenal in order to help facilitate the very time-consuming task of creating content and then publishing it out. Now, to kind of piggyback on what I said just a second ago, some of the things that you're going to need to come in here and do, what we're going to be going through is making sure that you have access to your Google Drive. If you have accounts like a Perplexity account or a Chat GPT account, that you have your API key. As I was going through it today, trying to connect some platforms, I found that X, formerly known as Twitter, getting the API key for your platform account there is a little cumbersome. So there's still some work that needs to be done, at least on my part, for me being able to utilize it. But at the end of the day, if you've got a couple of those things, you should be able to at least walk along with what we're going to do here, and hopefully see some possibilities for yourself in some of the activities that you may have going on. Now, that being said, the first thing I kind of want to do is just showcase the pre-built templates. Now, these templates are basically already set up in here, and all you're going to have to do is, as I said before, load into it your information, for whatever it is that you're trying to do, so that it connects with your accounts to get you the result that you're looking for. But to give you some ideas about what's possible, we look at the very first one: generate Chat GPT completions from Google Sheets rows. What that's saying is you can pull from a cell in a Google Sheet into your Chat GPT account. Make will run a prompt that you have already written on that cell, and then populate the answer, the result. In this case, let's say it's a Facebook post. I can have a Google Sheet that says a particular topic in a cell, like webinars or like, baking or whatever. Pull that into the Chat GPT prompt that says, write me a Facebook post on baking, on webinars, whatever. It'll run that prompt, get a post answer, and then put it into another Google Sheet for you. So it's basically creating them and then archiving them for you for later if that's what you wanted to do. Now, what I found very cool about that sort of flow is that instead of going to a Google Sheet, you can actually go directly to a platform. So, for example, if I have a prompt for baking, I have a topic for baking that I run a prompt for in ChatGPT, I can tell Make to, once that result comes out, once you get that Facebook post, go ahead and post it on my Facebook page. And you want to talk about being able to save hours of content creation time, scheduling time, and a lot of the stuff that I know, at least with this group, we know eats up a lot of the day. That is going to be incredible when it comes to consistency in content creation and scheduling, as well as opening up a lot of time for you to be able to do what it is that you might actually want to be doing, which might be product creation, honing other skills, getting more time to answer some of these posts that you're putting out, doing all the things that help push the business forward, rather than kind of staying in the minutia of just trying to keep up with the amount of content that you're putting out. So I harp on that one a little bit because that one has been a huge one for me that I continue to refine and work through. But that's not the limitation of this program. There's so much more that you can do with it. And as you can see from kind of the Let me just use the arrows instead. There are, what is this? 6 per row. And I mean, row after row of predetermined templates that you can use. So it's almost as, kind of limited almost to your imagination in some regards about what it is that you might want to do. Here's another: generate an image with Dolly from a Slack message prompt. I don't use Slack, but I know a lot of people that do. But to be able to pull from Slack, run it through, in this case, ChatGPT, and then have it turn around and go back onto Slack and post it, pretty cool. There's also some things that you can do in here where you don't even have to manage like a Google Sheet, for example, like this right here, an email new RSS post containing a specific word. You have the ability to pull web articles from an RSS feed or a site that aggregates web articles and websites around a particular keyword. Again, we've been talking about webinars and baking. You could set up an RSS feed in Make to pull the latest, recipes from your favorite website and have that get emailed to you, essentially, so that you can then either reference it later, forward it out later, whatever you wanted to do. So it's a way of pulling a lot of information from a bunch of different sources, getting it down into a more manageable place for you to pull from, and then do whatever it is that you're going to do with it. So you're not having to go out and do that research and sift through all the different articles out there. You're just letting the system pull the articles and give them to you to then do whatever it is that you will, which again is a huge time saver. There's a lot of stuff in here that I personally don't use, or at least have not got into the process of using. A lot of the sort of customer service type automations, like doing automated responses to either posts or automated responses to emails that you're getting. You have the ability to do that in here. There's just a ton, to be quite honest. And for anybody looking to automate some of these processes that you're having to do on a daily or weekly basis that are eating up a bunch of time, I would encourage anybody to jump into make.com, get a free account, play around with it. You actually, on the free account, get 2 free scenarios that will run. Any more than that, you'll have to be on a pay plan. But just to start playing around with the possibilities, to me, it's a no-brainer. For out-of-pocket expenses, if you do end up creating scenarios using ChatGPT or Perplexity AI or any of these other third-party programs that will require an API key, you will more than likely have to put some money into that API key on whoever's third-party platform it is so that you can actually use it. So, for example, I've got ChatGPT on mine, running a bunch of prompts for some stuff that I can show you right here. And I've probably run, 15 or 20 different runs of a scenario. And as you can see, I've got it running here and in these 4 locations as well. I think I've spent less than a quarter in doing all of those prompts today. So it doesn't eat up a lot, but based on how much you use it, you would have to use it a lot. This could be a very inexpensive way of having, honestly, your own AI agent helping you manage your digital business. This particular one that I've got up on the screen, what I did was I set up a Google Sheet that will have articles that I've pulled from an RSS feed. So rather than having to pay for an API key for an RSS feed, I just went ahead and pulled some web article URLs, put them in a Google Sheet. In this scenario, I'm telling ChatGPT to pull the first one that it sees, summarize it, and then route it out to these other ChatGPT prompts. Now, this is not a completed scenario, but essentially what would happen is the summary made here of whatever that article was is then going to go to this prompt that says, okay, based on that summary, write me a Facebook post. And then I'm going to have this node is not what I need, but I would have a Facebook post here. So let me do this. Let me go, if it'll let me. Delete that module. I'm going to add my Facebook. Where are you, Facebook? Too many O's. So go to Facebook pages and create a post. So here's the flow, at least for this, before I get into all that. The flow is I entered a URL into a Google Sheet, pulled it into ChatGPT with a prompt that I created, and I tell it what the prompt is in here. The prompt is for a summary of the article. It then takes that summary and here runs it into another prompt that says, create a Facebook post based on that summary. And then it's going to paste that post into my Facebook page. And again, the only thing that I did to make that happen outside of creating the scenario is I entered a URL into a cell on a Google Sheet. Now, the way that this is set up with this router is going to send the summary to these other two. This one is for an Instagram post. So now, where are you? It's the wrong one. Hold on a second. It's my Instagram for business. Create a photo post. So now that summary got summarized, and because there are more limitations on an Instagram post, it needed its own feed. So I ran it through this one to say specifically, write an Instagram post that would be high converting, highly engaging, highly curious, and then post it on my Instagram feed. And then down here, I'd end up doing Twitter or LinkedIn or something else. And when it comes to this routing, like there's no stopping it. So God forbid you have, 15 different platforms that you're wanting to put the same article or the same, webinar or same niche topic that you have in, you would be able to do that in here. And just to reiterate, the amount of work that is saved in doing this, we're talking probably, well, it depends on how many I guess you have, but I, for one, run 8 different accounts, Facebook accounts, and some of those have corresponding Instagram, and I'm trying to post anywhere from, 2 to 3 times a day on each of those platforms for each of those pages. So for me, it is an extreme amount of work to get everything prepared, ready, and then scheduled. If my prompts are good and they're giving me the outputs that I really like, I just cut my content creation and scheduling time down by probably 20 hours a week. I mean, it's incredible. But that's just one example. And again, if you go in here and start setting things up, you would add your connection. You would tell it, what page you want it to be sent to. So if you have more than one, like I do, as you can see, it'll already have that in its system once you set up your connection and knows what you want it to do. In the message, if there's what you would do here. And again, I'm going through this at a very high level without getting too much in the nitty gritty, just to give you an idea of how some of this stuff works. You go into the message and you're basically pulling from what was created from that ChatGPT prompt run. So you're telling it, hey, the content that came from the message that was from that ChatGPT prompt, that's the message that I want to be in the Facebook page. Now, one of the things I like to do is to use my social platforms as a way to promote my businesses. So what I could do in here is type in my business homepage, and on every single, I'm gonna end up killing this, but let's do it here. HTTPS. So now on every single post that this thing runs through, it's going to attach the URL to my business on it. So if I don't have an image, or I just don't have the time or the just the wherewithal, I just don't care. I want people to go to my website. Every single time a post goes through, it's going to go to the Cohort IV on that thread. I can do the exact same thing for my Instagram. I can do the exact same thing for, my Twitter. You can set it up so that you're not just promoting or trying to gain authority through showing expertise in a particular topic, but you're doing that plus promoting your business over and over and over and over and over and over again. So that's just setting, a particular scenario up specifically around content creation that I've been playing around with, that I'm going to, I know, find extremely valuable. The only other thing in all of this that I would want to show you is this down here in terms of the scheduling. Scheduling in Make.com, I've already figured out, is a little wonky, in that one of the things that I wanted to do, as I mentioned earlier, I'm trying to post 2 times a day on all these platforms. The options that you have are this right here, without having to go into more module creation and adding more to the diagram that you already see. But you can go in at regular intervals and set it up for anything over 15 minutes. You can do it once, and that's it. You can schedule it for a specific time every single day, a specific time only on certain days of the week, certain days of the month, specified days. So if you had one that you wanted to run only on Halloween and only on Thanksgiving and only on Labor Day or only on, Hanukkah or whatever, you'd be able to do that. And then on demand, which is basically just you coming in here and really just hitting the run once button. I mentioned earlier, I want to do this. I want to run twice a day. Well, there's no way to do that in here, specifically saying twice a day. So what you actually have to do is run at a regular interval and then run it every 720 minutes. So if it's running every 12 hours, 60 times 12 is 720. You set the start time, and as soon as you turn this thing on and have it active, from that start time on, every 12 hours, it's going to pull from this Google Sheet and run all of these functions. Pretty darn cool. And like I said, this is something that, for my purposes, at least right now, this is about as deep as I've gotten into it. From just the templates, again, you can tell that there's a crap ton of other functionality that can be done in this thing. It's just a matter of matching your need to its capabilities. One of the things that didn't pop up that I wish had so that I could show you guys, there is, when you first get into it, there's a screen when you're about to make one of your first scenarios that asks you straight up, do you want to build from scratch? Do you want to use a template? Or do you want to use the onboard AI for it to help you figure out how to do what it is that you're trying to do? And it will tell you whether or not it's capable of doing it or not. But you have 3 ways, whichever way you're comfortable. If you're not that tech savvy, then go the AI route. If you already kind of know what you want to do and know what some of the apps are that are available in here to be able to connect together, just start running. If you don't know the full extent of what's possible, use a template. Go through the templates and look through, what's already pre-built, and it's already got the scenario done. You're just filling in the blanks. So it's great for anybody at any level in terms of technological prowess. The thing that you need to come to the table with when you open this up and start playing around with it is knowing your business well enough to know what it is that you need to have done. What is it what is a thing or what is a task that you do on a regular basis that could be automated? Content creation is one. Sending out emails is another. Answering posts or answering messages is another. If you have something like a Shopify or a WooCommerce account and you need to pull your invoices, it has the ability to do that. You don't have to manually go in and do it. It will aggregate everything to a certain spot for you and have it all ready and done without you really having to do anything other than set up the scenario. Like, there's just so much that's, it can do now. I can only imagine what it's going to be able to do in the months to come. Because as I was sifting through some of the other functionalities, I got a little alert that popped up that said, hey, we're still making the transition from our old company to this one. So we are still adding more and more and more and more as the days and weeks and months go by. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if it ever got to the point where you're not even having to really create scenarios. You're just entering in some information like your API keys. And then, like I said, going to that AI, the onboard AI, and saying, just make this scenario for me and run it. Like, you don't even have to go through the whole process that I just went through about creating the modules and creating the diagram. You just go in and say, I want you to, save media insight from my Instagram account to my Google Sheets. Well, you've already loaded your accounts in there. It knows how to access all that stuff, and it just does it. So we're just if you've heard about AI agents, this is one step closer to the AI agents that have up until recently only been talked about in the periphery. Yeah, the AI agents will be the next step, and this is that in between step that we're looking at here with Make.com. And for the record, I am not a paid sponsor for Make.com. I just happened upon this program and started playing around with it and got super excited about it. So I felt, as excited as I am about it, I wanted to tell as many people as possible, especially my partners and especially anybody that has the fortune of seeing these videos, because I know as a new digital solopreneur, a lot of the tasks that are in here were some of the biggest roadblocks to me seeing progress in what I felt was a timely manner, because I kept getting hooked up on certain aspects of either connectivity or not knowing what it is that I need to do or not knowing what I wanted to do. This helps any new solopreneur really shorten that learning curve. And not only that, but also see faster progress than I think any other digital entrepreneur has been able to experience in the last year. So I highly recommend playing around with it, seeing how it might be able to help you in your endeavors. And with that, what comments, questions, or snide remarks does the group have?
Now, why would you think we'd have any snide remarks after that?
Because I know you guys and I love you for it. So have at it.
I got a few questions. So, ChatGPT, right? I think most of us, I think, have 4.0, right?
Mhm.
Does that matter, though? Like, if somebody was to have the free version, is there any difference that you've seen so far between free version versus paid and how ChatGPT interacts?
No. And here, let's do this. Let me go back into this and I'll show you why. Are you talking about the free version of ChatGPT or the free
Yeah.
version of
Of Chat.
Make? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Then the answer is going to be yes, there will be a difference. And here's why. So if I go in here, so based on what my API connection from, let me kill that, what my ChatGPT API connection is, or my key is that I've entered into my addition of the connection, the prompts that you get for which version you can use is going to be different. So this is why I said at the very beginning, like having your API keys and all that kind of stuff makes, getting the setup very well, it makes it a little bit easier, but you're also limited to whatever program or tier or plan you have from the third party whose API key you're getting. The same thing would happen with like a Perplexity. Like you actually have the ability to, instead of, so for example, if I had wanted Perplexity to do the summary of the URL article that I have in my Google Sheet, that's what could be here. And then I could route it out to my ChatGPT bots. Excuse me. But I would still need that API key, and I would be limited to the access that I have to Perplexity through what that API key grants me. So hopefully that answered that question.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I think we talked earlier this morning. You were talking, and you mentioned earlier here tonight as well, about images and that.
Mm-hmm.
Have you found anything with Dolly that you were able to integrate with this as well? And
I did
how does
not
that-
play around with it,
Okay.
but that doesn't mean that. Let's see. What do I want to do? Let's go to scenarios. Well, you know what? We saw that one that had Dolly in it. Maybe if I can get to it quickly, I'll do that. But if not, what I'll do is
Yeah, and I know that you just came across to this, so you haven't really had a lot of time with it, but it's just more curiosity if you've stumbled any closer to it. And man, the number of integrations here just looks incredible.
it's
Like the
pretty
templates there,
ridiculous.
that's pretty cool.
I did at the very start of me messing around with this thing, generate an image. All right, we're going to use this one. Now, I don't have a Slack account, but that's fine. So what I would end up doing here, since I've already got my connection set up, it's already telling me which one or which ones I can use. So if I use Dolly 3, hit continue. If I had a Slack account, all right, let's do this. What if, and again, this is just me playing around right now. I want to kill you. How do I kill you? Let's give guided setup. Yes, delete it anyway. So if I were to generate, delete these, I don't want to go to Slack. What if instead I told this thing to put a where could we send this to where we would see it? Let's do a Facebook page. Create a post. Do that. I'll send it to Cohort. I know I'm going all over the place, but just bear with me. All right. Give me an image that you would want to post on the Cohort IV Facebook page. What is an image that would be cool that we could put on there? Let's start it with no text.
Why don't you take a screenshot of this right here?
Let's see. Where are you? Print screen. It's not letting me do that. Now it is. Hold on. Let me first try it with text, like just typing it out, but not having text in the image itself.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Please generate a.
How about an image of a guy making an incredible webinar, or an awesome webinar, or a golden webinar?
We're baking a cookie on a webinar.
There you go.
Better be a big friggin' cookie too.
All right. So there's that. So, and before I even do that, let's go add a module. I'm going to end up killing this one, but I want to know. I wanted to see what the differentiation was between generating an image as a module versus everything that I've done in the other ones, which did not have that delineation. So something that I'm going to take a look at later is how to make that distinction between just a random, or a general command to ChatGPT versus this specific module that's about generating an image. All right, so there's that. That message is going to be prompt. Should be, I want to say, created. So that's part of it. So as you go into each module, depending on what it is that you're actually wanting to put out there, you may have to pull it from a previous module. So you kind of saw me do it with messaging content in one of the diagrams that I showed earlier. Same thing here. So you would have to pull what's being created, which that's probably, yeah, already done. Having never done this, I'm hoping that's what's supposed to happen here. Now, I'm going to run this thing once and let's see what happens. If somebody wants to jump on the Cohort IV page and tell me if it actually does it. That is, of course, if this thing actually runs. All right, so it did create something and it did post something. So now the question is it there? And as much as I've been playing around this today, and like accidentally posting stuff to the Facebook page, I think a lot of the members are going to think that there's something wrong with me, because there's several just like back to back posts, all having the same bulletproof webinar URL image, and just talking about, webinar, and it's all coming from me. It's like, this guy Matt must really love him some webinars.
But you do.
But I do. I love sharing knowledge, and I love giving other people the platform with which to do the same and make the world a better place. Make a little money at the same time. Is it showing up at all?
So there was a post, but no image. It
Okay, so
basically, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, probably a little bit of more work to do with that one, but
I bet it's this right here.
yeah, it actually posted the date.
Yeah. The time.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Boom. And then that's what I want right there. All right, I'm going to run it again. I don't remember if that was my option or not, but either way. So some of this stuff is going to be trial and error. As you can see, some of this stuff is going to be pretty straightforward.
That's what it's all about, though, just learning as you go.
Hey, with that, I have a question for you, Matt.
I'll do my best to answer it, sir. What you
Okay. In your infinite wisdom, what would you this looks complicated to a blunt object like myself. What type of learning curve are we talking about here for your average new user?
So there's a couple of different, well, in my humble opinion, I do feel like I've probably got a little bit more time in a bunch of different AI software. So a lot of this was a bit intuitive for me. Like, it just kind of made sense that this goes here, this goes here. Okay, that's how this process. I'm also a very logical thinker and a very linear thinker. So it's like, okay, do A, then B, then C, then D to get the end result. So that made a lot of sense to me. Even so, I don't think that the learning curve on this is that difficult. I feel like the areas that people are going to have the most difficulty with are going to be A, knowing what you want to do, and B, once you've kind of figured out that that's what you want to do, ensuring that you have all the information that you need to actually make the connections happen. I've talked a lot about API keys tonight, and that is, to me, that's going to be one of the big things that a lot of people don't know enough about, and how to get, and what is the, what is an API key? Where do I get it? How do I incorporate it into this? All that kind of stuff. That, to me, is a higher learning curve than, well, what do you want your ChatGPT prompt to be? Like, what,
Cool.
Those are the things that I think are going to be the hardest things for people to kind of work around and navigate. And on that note, like, I ran into that problem myself today. So I was trying to get my an X account API key. And to do that, you actually have to open a developer account on X, fill out some forms, answer a question with no less than 250 characters, and then get approved, and then go through an authorization setup. It's doing something like that, I can imagine, is not something people are used to on a regular basis. What they're used to doing is hitting a button, Facebook comes up, what's on your mind, typing in some words, adding a photo, and hitting go. This is a little bit more than that. The thing that I'll tell anybody is kind of the light at the end of the tunnel is once you've got it set up, it's done.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Would it be worthwhile to maybe invest some time into putting together a cheat sheet of how to get these various APIs and how to load them into make.com?
I think so. And I think that to be as comprehensive as possible, well, I wouldn't say comprehensive because, I mean, as you saw with those templates, like there's just so much that you can do. But to be as immediately value additive, like I would definitely think about putting together a cheat sheet for the majors. So the Facebooks, the Chat GPTs, the Instagrams, the X's, the LinkedIn's, the Twitter. I said X and Twitter. They're still two different things in my brain. The Perplexities, all that kind of stuff. Things that are going to require a little bit more involvement than when you set up your Facebook. Like I've got here with the Facebook page. Adding your Facebook pages is one of the easiest things you do because you log in the exact same way that you log in now to your Facebook accounts. So that's no learning curve right there. If you've ever had a Facebook page in your life or been, or logged into your Facebook profile, no big there. Getting it connected to some of these other third-party apps is really where the learning curve comes into. But yeah, I could definitely see putting something together that was just like a really quick run-through guide on what you need to do some of the higher level, some of the more common functionalities, like what we went through here today with creating content. Okay, so you want to automate your content creation and get it posted. Okay, that makes perfect sense because that is a problem that 99.9% of the content creators out there, that's one of their biggest issues is being consistent with getting content out. Yeah, I could definitely see putting something together to kind of help people walk through those pieces.
Cool. Thank you. Because in doing webinar gold videos today, two of them that I recorded today, I mentioned make.com just because you brought it to our attention. So I'm already starting to seed.
That's awesome.
So maybe that's something that we ought to consider.
Absolutely. And I mean, I can start putting something together. That won't be a problem. One thing that would be very helpful, not just from this group, but again, from anybody that, ends up watching this, when it comes to what it is that you want to see, what kind of scenario are you thinking about doing that you might be having trouble with getting connected? That's something that ideally, if we as a group were to help anybody with, kind of already having done it rather than doing it in the moment would save a lot of time and a lot of frustration on both ends. So it's like as I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest things about going into make.com and starting to play around is, do you know what you want to automate? Do you know or have an idea of what you want to do or some tasks that you want to take off your plate? That is extremely helpful in navigating the plethora of templates that are already in there and getting closer to, a scenario where you're not having to do as many tasks during the course of the week to run your business as you may have in the past. But if you're asking help from us, and again, I just started playing around with this thing yesterday. Like I need a little bit more time under my belt to be, call it a subject matter expert, if you will, to help people navigate through things. But if there's something that's out there that is a process or a scenario that I don't do, but is very common, then I would love to know what that is, because I would love to put that into, a different cheat sheet, but a common make.com scenario for X type of digital business owner. And kind of piece all of that together so that anybody that is coming in even after that's done has a really quick guide. They don't have to go through all these templates. It's like, hey, the first 2 scenarios you probably want to make are these, and this is how you do it. The first 4 or the next 4 after that, once you've decided that you want to get into a paid account to have an unlimited number of active scenarios, these are the next 4 or 5 that you might want to look at doing, and here's how to do it. But without knowing what those next 4 or 5 might be, it might be difficult to be able to create something of value to whomever gets handed that list.
Cool. Yeah, that's very cool. I'm impressed with this, man. I'm sold.
I can't believe how much you could do in such a short period of time.
Right?
It's like 0 to 60 in 24 hours.
Man, I may actually get back on social media because of this.
The world's waiting, Troy. The world is waiting
Oh,
just for you to join.
man, if the world is waiting on me, brother, they got better things to wait on. I don't know. Let me finish this beer and I'll get back to you on that.
There you go.
And I'm just doing this because we had talked about it earlier, but if you have your CRM platforms or your web-based platforms that you're running your URLs and your domains off of, like Kartra, for example, or WooCommerce or Shopify, like there are integrations in here for those platforms. And again, I don't know the full functionality of each one, but it would be, in my opinion, to be incumbent on anybody that does use Make.com and uses those platforms to find out what those, what that full functionality is within each of those apps. But I mean, this is a full app list that I'm going through, and I'm still in the A's. So the likelihood that it has something that you're looking to do is got a pretty high probability. So while we're in here, where is... Make.com also has a Make Academy. So they actually have a lot of videos and a lot of different courses that you can take to help become more proficient in how to use it. I have not played around with any of them. What I am looking for right now, which I don't see anywhere. I was going to look up pricing. Okay. And to kind of give you an idea of what it means to have the free account versus one of the paid accounts, as I mentioned, everything that I just went through, free account, I'm only running 2 active scenarios on that account. But just as a side note, I have like 4 or 5 different Gmail accounts and emails that I can use. So that's like 4 or 5. I'm just saying. So you could do the same thing if you wanted to parcel everything out. I know that if this works the way I'm hoping that it does, that I'll end up consolidating into one account just so I don't have to manage as much. But in the free account, you have the access to 1,000+ standard apps. Any number of people can actually use the account. 2 active scenarios. So, 2 of those diagrams of however you've got them made can be active at a time. You can make 100 scenarios, but only 2 of them can you have running live at any given time. 5-minute scenario execution times means the intervals in between. And then there's a couple of other things in here that you can do for real-time monitoring. But the other thing and I don't know if they say it in here. They don't in this one. There's a different pricing guide that I saw earlier that in the free plan, you're limited to 10,000 operations a month. And the way to think about that is this. You have a scenario, and every module that you put in there, consider that an operation. So in one aspect, you could have, Google Sheet to ChatGPT to Facebook. That's one scenario and 3 operations. In the other scenario that I had where it was Google Sheet, ChatGPT, router, 3 more prompts, and then 3 different platforms, that's like 9 or 10 operations for one scenario. So just kind of keep that in mind. Now, 10,000 operations in a day, or excuse me, in a month. I mean, if you've got your intervals set up for every 5 minutes, I can see you burning through that. Most people aren't going to be inundating their channels with that much content. But hey, if that's your bag, go right ahead. You'll just probably burn it all up halfway through the month. And then you'll really be wanting to get into this $9 a month plan. In the $9 a month plan, you actually get unlimited active scenarios. So you can run as many as you want all day long. And you have 100,000 operations per month. So a lot more flexibility there. As I mentioned earlier, I really like the idea of being able to consolidate what I'm going to end up doing with a bunch of these free accounts into one place. It'll be much easier to manage, but I'm not there yet. So very much at the early stages of adopting this tech, but I'm really, really excited and curious to see what I can do next with it.
Yeah, when you're talking about operations, Matt, and you were talking earlier about, I think you mentioned functionality potential here for a chatbot, right?
Yeah, I truly believe that it may not even be the onboard AI that this, that Make.com has, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if it does eventually evolve into that.
Right.
But getting to 100%, yeah.
Yeah, totally eating up operations, depending on the size of your, social media following and the number of comments that you're getting and how you want to handle that. I can see those operations getting eaten up really quickly.
When once you scale to that degree, in my opinion, like jumping into a pro or a Teams account is going to be a no-brainer, and B, you're going to get somebody else to manage that anyway.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But for the call it beginner, for somebody just starting out or somebody just trying to navigate the early hurdles and obstacles of being a digital entrepreneur, the free account is totally fine. And once you've scaled enough into some of these other platforms that would require your attention to try to grow a following or to just have a little bit more authority across different platforms, I can see you jumping into the core plan. But honestly, for me, like where I'm at right now, and I've been doing digital business for 2 years now, like I'm still at a phase where the free account is just fine for where I'm at. Like I'm able to navigate enough of the separation between different Make.com accounts across different email addresses to where I personally don't have to worry about like the pitfalls of trying to of the cross pollination of different email accounts and how they are in Make. And I'm seeing here, like, this is not what it, okay. I know what I said a minute ago about 10,000 versus 100,000. So I apologize for misquoting, but I swear to you, a completely different graph had this at 10,000 and 100,000. So I apologize up front for whichever one of those is not right. But you still get the idea of kind of how operations work in conjunction with scenarios and what that means across different plans.
Yeah, this is really, really useful tonight. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. Anything else we want to try to either figure out or go over when it comes to make.com?
No, man, and I don't know why my video feed killed on us, but man, I'm gonna sit up all night tooling around with this. You know, it's the only thing that keeps me up at night is AI anymore, so I might as well lose sleep over this one.
AI and webinars, right?
AI and webinars, baby. That's my bag. That's what gives my motor rev, baby.
Watch out, world. He's coming back. He'll be on social media tomorrow.
Well, as you're playing around with it, let us know, because I can imagine that they're, given all the things that I know you have done in digital business, Troy, there are scenarios that like you could probably think of off the top of your head that you want to try that we didn't cover that I don't even think about. Yeah. So I would love to see if there's something in here or a particular scenario that just sort of resonates with you and how we might be able to incorporate into our own businesses. Because all I think about right now, because it eats up, 20, 25 hours of my week, is content creation. So if I had something like this to help me with that and to give me more time to work on things like cheat sheets and, creating product or revising product or creating more lead magnets or really creating more content with me in it, doing more video content, just getting more time in front of the camera, getting more comfortable in front of the camera rather than doing, a lot of image posts, which is the majority of what I've been doing. Like, I want to have that time to be able to develop those skills, because all of that's just going to propel my business even further as well. So.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. When as I'm digging through this, man, I will gladly supply you with status reports.
Awesome sauce. Yeah. Gentlemen, with that, I will stop sharing.
And Jim, how's it feel to be in a room all by yourself with everybody watching?
It's a little freaky, man. I'll tell you what.